Hello? Oh,
Daniel!
Chris! What's up?
It's amazing that gag still works in the era of caller ID. You know,
Oh, that's right. We have caller ID on our.
Stone
Oh,
skin.
yeah. You don't get that you know who it is usually.
Yeah,
Sometimes I might
I remember
pretend
back.
I don't.
It used to be a crapshoot. The phone hanging on the wall in the kitchen.
Hmm.
Would start ringing at 8 o'clock at night on a weekday, and you'd be like, "Who the hell could that be?"
Yeah, and you don't know to answer it unless you're one of those fancy people who paid for the caller ID box on your phone.
That's true too.
Yeah, that was
That's
that was
fair.
a fancy thing there. It was kind of neat. But
I don't think we ever. No, my mother never did.
no,
First
we
time
never
she
did
had
either.
caller ID on the home phone was because she'd gotten like one of those programmable landline things, which is
Mm.
annoying. Well, how do I know it's this person? Maybe the thing does. Maybe it's making him. No, mom, don't. Just...
And
Well,
now when
happy
you're
belated Easter, my brother.
happy belated Easter to you too.
Well, thank you for the happy part. I appreciate.
How was your
Did you guys have a
Easter?
good Easter?
Yeah.
It was not bad. Mom came over,
Hmm.
and I made a little brunch action. And of
Nice.
course, Jules lives with me, so I see her all the time. But Ian came over, so I had both of my kids
Oh,
under the
nice.
roof for the first time in a couple of weeks. That was
Very,
nice,
very nice.
you know. And we and you can hear Juno playing with squeaky toys that she inherited from Oscar. So so that'll be going on and off throughout the course of the podcast this week, I assume.
Is there special sound effects this week?
Special sound effects.
That's
Yes.
right. We got it
But it
all
was
going
nice. We everybody. We enjoyed ourselves.
on. Hmm.
And Jules' boyfriend Josh, of course, was with us. So we had all brunch together and then hung out.
Nice.
Ian decided to challenge me in a game of chess, which he has not done in quite a while. And then I quickly reminded him twice in a row why I was better at it than he is still.
I haven't played chess in so long. I don't remember everything.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly I'm not a world class chess master by any stretch of the imagination, but it's nice to have that time with the boy. He loves
Definitely.
it, and
Hmm.
he's been playing more apparently. And his skills, I mean, they were slugfests. There was no domination involved in either of those games. It was me just trying things and throwing. I was throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck, basically, and it worked out for me a couple of times.
Managed to squeeze through this time, but
Yeah,
your end might be coming if he
yeah.
keeps up.
Well, I thought I thought my days as the tallest person in the family were numbered,
Yeah.
but that has proven to actually seems to be not a thing.
He stopped.
He has stopped. Well, if or
Mm.
slowed down to the point where it doesn't look like he's threatening my record here at the
Oh,
moment.
wow. I wasn't
Um,
sure about that because he was up
yeah.
there.
Oh, I know. Oh, he is a big boy.
Mhm.
There's no uncertainty about that one. He's a big boy.
Hmm.
I mean, the thing is, he's inherited his physical stature from his mother's side of the family. Her brothers are all solid boys.
Hmm.
So he got my height and their dimension. I mean, he is a big dude.
Yeah, don't mess with Ian. Good thing he's
It's
an
kind of
outside.
good that it's kind of good that he's Arcadia, because Arcadia has their mascot is the Titans, right? So he is a Titan, and
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly.
He fits in.
He fits in as a Titan. So
Yeah, I could see Zach possibly surpassing my height.
it's possible.
He's still growing fast. He's still up there, so it's he's only 11 though, so I got a ways
I
to
mean,
go.
I got to tell you, I was getting myself content with the idea of looking up to my son. I really was, and I'm just shy of 6'5".
Right. So
Holy crap.
yeah. So I mean, I've got cousins who are 6'7". My cousin
Right.
Jason is 6'7". So
I'm not actually even the tallest in my family.
No.
No. I'm the tallest in my immediate family, obviously.
Right.
But I have two cousins on my dad's side who are as tall, if not taller than I am.
Hmm.
And guys I have not seen in forever and a day, because that side of the family doesn't see each other that much anymore. It's very small. And on my mom's side of the family, the Italians, there's one, Jimmy, who I've only met on a couple of occasions at weddings and funerals, who is 6'9".
Oh my gosh!
And he's pure Italian as opposed to me, who's only half.
Wow.
So
6'9".
I remember him making the joke at one of our cousins' weddings. This was back in the early 90s. He said, "Oh, look at us, we're the heartbeat monitors." And then he would move his hand across, and it's like at the head height, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. Oh, there's Chris and Jimmy. Okay. And just laughed. It was like
It is. It is.
I
I
didn't
I
think
think
of
I've heard
that.
that analogy before. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's funny. Ian made a run at the title. It looks like he may not make it to champion, but he made me wonder. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I thought
Uh,
I wouldn't have been surprised.
it would have been
Yeah.
impressive to see the two of us standing next to each other, but
Well,
because
still is impressive.
yeah, that's true too. That's true. And then poor Juliana. Oh my God, poor Juliana. It tops out at 5'3.5". Right. So here's the older of my two children is the tiny one. Right. So she stands in the middle between her brother and I, the rose between two thorns, and just looks up at the both of us and
Yeah.
she looks up at the both of us with this expression of why did I have to be so tiny? Why was I so short? Why did I get screwed?
She's the valley between two mountains.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, my poor little girl. I
Yeah.
love her. She's such a mess, though. She's hilarious.
That's funny because my sister, my older sister, she's the shortest of the bunch.
Uh-huh.
You know, I know somebody else is like that. That the oldest is. My cousin Liz, she's the shortest of her family.
Well, I've seen that in
And she's
several. I mean,
oldest.
like my ex's brothers, the oldest is the shortest, and
Mhm.
then the middle one, and then the youngest is the tallest of the three.
Yeah.
So they go up as they get younger, right? And it's impressive. And I've seen that in so many other families. I have no comparison. I have no siblings of my own, biologically speaking.
Right. Imagine if you did, and the younger one was taller.
Well, here's some trivia for you. I was going to be a big brother when I was 4,
Oh wow.
and my mom had a miscarriage.
Oh.
And apparently it was for the best because the baby had a whole lot of issues. So it didn't
sad.
work out. And my mom just decided that was that. She
Mhm.
she didn't want to put herself through that, and she didn't want to risk losing another one.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm an only child. But
Yeah.
I was going to be a big brother. I'm not sure. Nobody ever knew if it was a boy or a girl.
Mhm.
But
It's too early. Yeah.
there you have it.
Yeah.
So I might have been an older, maybe not a bigger brother, but I might have been an older brother
That's right.
at the very least.
You'd have always been the older brother.
I always wonder about what I would have been like as a biological brother. Right? I mean, I have you and Scott and Todd.
Mhm.
Those are my brothers in spirit, right? And you and I have definitely shared a lot with each other over the years that we might as well just be blood brothers,
Right.
with how well we know each other and how we back each other up and whatnot.
We're brothers by choice versus brothers
Exactly.
by blood.
Yes. But I've wondered from time to time, what it would have been like to not be an only child.
Mhm.
It always drives me bonkers when I see siblings not getting along. It's for me, I look at these sibling rivalries or siblings who've just decided they just don't like each other and they have falling outs and whatnot. I'm just like, you have no goddamn clue what you're missing out on right now, and what I would kill to have that kind of an experience. Even if my sibling and I would drive each other bonkers, I would still like to be able to experience that, know what it was like.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because they say you don't choose your siblings, you're stuck
Right.
with them, kind of thing, and the personalities don't they clash.
They don't always mesh.
Right, and that's the
I see siblings
hard part.
I see siblings that are glued at the hip, like they go through everything together. They love each other desperately, and then I see the siblings that go to war,
Right.
because they can't stand each other. Like I watch you pick on Dennis sometimes, and it's like, really? Leave the kid alone.
We went through phases. I mean, you'll go through phases a lot of times, and I mean,
Yeah.
there's a time when I just didn't want to be around him at all. Both my younger siblings, him and Diana, both. I didn't. There's times I didn't want to be around either of them just because we were different enough.
Yeah.
But
Well,
there's no
I mean, I
choice.
see it.
But then
But you've learned
now,
to kind of accept that about each other now.
oh yeah, I mean now it's all different. I mean we're growing up and we're level-headed enough where whatever things we had, they're it's way in the past. It's just we're just all part of growing up, and all those crazy growing up things go on and everything. But
like I remember the first time my parents left town to go on a long weekend getaway, and left me home alone. I was 15, I think, 15 or 16 at the time, because that's the 80s and you could do that still. Nowadays, the Child Protective Services probably would have been called on them even though I was a teenager.
right.
But I remember being at home and, my maternal grandparent, both of my paternal grandparents were gone by the time I was 15. But my maternal grandparents only lived like a couple of miles away, and my grandmother would call and she would
Right.
check in on me in the morning. Have the hey, if you want to have dinner with us, feel free to ride your bike over or we'll come pick you up or whatever. But
Mhm.
I made the most of it. I was
Mhm.
home. I didn't have Winston yet, right? And the old English Springer Spaniel. And it was so cool for the first 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I have the house all to myself. This is great. I'll mow the lawn because mom wants me to mow the lawn and dad wants me to do this. Okay, cool. I'll do that through the course of the weekend. It'll be great. And I'm just chilling. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, it's my house. This is great. And then I'm like, okay, now what do I do?
Hmm.
It's not like the internet existed in 1985, right?
No, we didn't. We didn't have the internet back then. The internet
No, we
was
didn't
there,
have it.
but it wasn't. It wasn't a public thing at that point.
Yep. And everybody else was, off doing other things. So I didn't have any of my usual friends to go hang out with.
Hmm.
And it was just me home alone. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's the double-edged sword. Gotcha. All right. So,
Yeah,
hey, I've got the house to myself. Hey, I've got the house to myself.
I don't remember very many times I had the house to myself growing up.
Well, see, with 3 siblings, I can understand how that's
Yeah,
a thing.
I mean, yeah, usually. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, Debbie was my babysitter for the longest time. She would watch me. And when we
Hmm.
were old enough to be alone together, she was the older one, and
Right.
then the younger ones were young enough where they couldn't go out on their own.
Uh-huh.
I remember. So yeah, the times home alone, which is probably why I wasn't home a lot during. Now that I think about it, especially once I got my driver's license at Aquinas, and I was gone all the time over somebody's house, usually Rudy's house or something. But
Right.
I was gone a lot once I got that driver's license.
As soon
But
as he had
yeah,
the opportunity, that boy was gone.
mm-hmm. Yep, yeah, that
I'm
was.
adjusting, and it's weird because, for 16, 16 and a half, almost 17 years, I had Erica,
Mm-hmm.
and Erica and Juliana, and then Erica and Juliana and Ian,
Yep.
and then our plethora of cats or a dog here and there, and so it was, I mean, well, towards the end when Erica and I were pretty much on our way out, um, there were times where she'd go out for a long weekend and she would take, uh, the kids with her, or she would just disappear and it would just be
Mm-hmm.
me and the kids. And so I kind of started getting that feeling like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, having the house all by myself. I remember what it was like to be, the bachelor on my own kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This will be easy. This will be great. I'm used to. Oh, and I've got the internet, and I've got DVDs, and I've got this, and I've got that. I got so many things, and I've got so many more friends, and so many more projects. I'll be just fine. And then I moved out on my own, and I
Mm-hmm.
got this house, 2.5 years ago now,
Wow.
and for the first 3 weeks, the kids only would come over to visit because I didn't get their rooms set up right away. I was having a hard time getting the beds and dressers and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff that I needed so they could stay. So for 3 weeks straight, it was just me in the house. And so here I am full circle remembering what it was like 15, 16. I'm like, well, I've got all this cool stuff and I've got my job and I've got my, my convention stuff. I'll be fine. I've got things to keep me busy. And I was not mentally prepared to be
No,
alone.
it was a shock to your system there.
It was tough. It was very tough. I mean, there was only so many video games you could play and so many DVDs you could watch before it was like, okay, now what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
I guess it's time to go to bed. All right. And then just lay there in bed staring at the ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, when I had my house, I was alone in it for quite a while,
Yeah.
and I
The
don't know.
first one, the one you had built.
Yeah, the one I had
Yeah.
built. And I liked it. But I think I
But you're
grew
more
up.
geared for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I grew up, I mean, I didn't. I was out by myself a lot, and we didn't
Hmm.
do. I mean, we didn't do a lot of family stuff except for vacation. So when I'm home, I was playing by myself a lot
Right.
and entertaining myself in whatever ways. And so it was maybe a little different.
Hmm.
We didn't do a lot of family stuff. Now that I think about it, but it was and it's just different.
Yeah. For me, family stuff was, the three of us, my mom, my dad, and I would go Lake Placid for a week when I was a kid, or we'd go off to Boston or New York and see New
Hmm.
York and see Broadway shows, and
Yeah.
usually at Thanksgiving. Right, we would
Hmm.
get there just in time to catch the tail end of the Macy's Day Parade,
Okay.
Thanksgiving Day Parade, and then we would hit our hotel and we would walk around town, and you usually see 2 or 3 shows over the course of a week.
Hmm.
you know, and go see the mandatory sites and whatnot, and and freeze our asses off in November,
All right.
you know. But we had our good times, and
Yeah.
then my parents. It's matter of fact, it's kind of funny. It was one of those trips where I found my love for the Boston Red Sox, and it was entirely my parents' fault, right? Which is hilarious when you think that my mother is a Yankees fan and has been all her life, and comes from a family of Yankees fans, and
Hmm.
my dad was a Mets fan all his life. Right. So here's the Mets fan and the Yankees fan take their son to Boston, and the first Major League Baseball game I ever saw in person was Red Sox in Toronto at Fenway Park.
And you fell in love with the Red Sox.
Oh my God. Oh, you're in Fenway Park. You're going to absorb the energy. Even if you despise the Red Sox, you're
Hmm.
going to absorb that energy and go, oh my God, this is so freaking amazing.
I do want
Now,
to go there someday. I mean, the classic stadium. I mean, come on.
yeah. I mean, it's one of the last classic stadiums still standing. I think
Hmm.
Wrigley Field, I think, is still up. I'm not sure. I don't remember
Which
if
one
they
is
did.
older? I wonder.
I'm not. Well, we can do some research on that another time, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Carl Yastrzemski, who was the Joe DiMaggio of that generation of Red Sox, he
Hmm.
was their captain. It was the year, or either he retired that year, or it was the year before he retired. But we were there on his birthday.
Oh wow.
Okay, and Toronto had fought Red Sox for a 2-2 tie in the seventh inning stretch. So it was 2-2 in the
Mm.
seventh. And I remember this plain as day. I was like 13 years old, and we were 8 rows behind home plate in a
Oh wow.
box because my dad knows a guy who knows a guy who got us tickets. That's basically how, connections.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can
Has a
talk
good
about that
seats.
another day.
Yeah.
So here I am in Fenway Park, 13 years old. I was raised a Yankees fan, but I never really felt it. I was never really like, oh yeah, great, yeah, Heroes and
Hmm.
Pinstripes, yay. I was more like, okay, cool, they're on. I'll watch some baseball. Cool, I like
Hmm.
baseball.
Yeah.
Um, so here I am, Fenway Park, 13 years old, Carl Yastrzemski's birthday, seventh inning stretch. The entire stadium starts singing happy birthday to this man. And his father, who was still alive at the time, the man was in his 80s, I
Hmm.
think, or 90. He was definitely, and then Carl's daughter, I can't remember the woman's name. I can look that up. But they come out with this giant cake with all the candles on it, and the entire team comes out to sing happy birthday to this man. And this entire stadium, this entire city is basically telling this guy how much they freaking love him and everything he has done for that team. And I'm like, I'm Google eyed at this moment. And then the icing on the cake, if you pardon the pun, bottom of the seventh, with their catcher Tony Armas was on second. I will remember this for the rest of
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
there because I was there and I remember Tony Armas is on second, and Carl just rails this shot, a line drive right off the green monster in left field. Comes in for a double. Armas comes in to score. It would be the winning run. They would go on to win 4-2, but this was the winning run, 3-2.
Hmm.
Armas comes across the plate. Carl Yastrzemski is standing on second base, and Fenway Park is going completely and utterly bonkers. I mean, I had never
Oh.
been in the middle of anything like that in my life, ever. Right? There's just the sheer magnitude of, I mean, the vibe. The vibe
Hmm.
is, calling it the vibe was such an understatement. I got to be honest, but that was it. I was done. Done.
The vibe is a very real thing.
It
I
is
mean, when
strong emotional content.
when the Rhinos were in their prime,
Uh
when we
huh.
played our Frontier Field, and I was there at every game, and the
Well, you were a
vibe,
season ticket holder, weren't you?
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the vibe at Frontier was just so amazing, and that was part of it. I mean,
Hmm.
usually there was a good soccer because they were in their prime in those days,
Right.
but it's just the vibe in the stadium, and then when they moved to the new stadium, the vibe just disappeared. There's no vibe in the new place.
I knew building that secondary stadium was just a horrible idea.
It
Just a
wasn't. It's
horrible
just
idea.
the way it came about and where it was, and it was just. It
Yeah.
was. It. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. It
the
made
way.
no sense.
No. It. They were doing. They did so well at Frontier, and then when they moved to the new stadium, which the stadium was built wrong. There's not. It wasn't how because the ground was contaminated. They couldn't. It was supposed to be a sunk. It was supposed to be sunken like Frontier Field was.
Okay.
But because the ground was contaminated, they didn't
It could
know
only
until
go
they
so far.
started because they had to. It ended up being up above, so it felt like a high school stadium type of thing. And there was just problems all around, and the block away from Frontier, people didn't want to go there, but
Hmm.
yeah, it was just but the vibe, there was no vibe anymore.
Yeah.
So I still kept going for a few years afterwards, but it was like the vibe was just
Gone.
gone, and it was sad because I mean we would pack Frontier Field. They were, I think they played Frontier Field before the Red Wing, the Red Wings did,
Hmm.
because right before they did, right when it opened, and the Red Wings I
Hmm.
think were still playing in silver then. So
Yep, because Frontier Field, they were doing opening, and then so the
mhm,
um oh my God, the Rhinos, they were playing
mhm,
at Frontier Field, and then Silver Stadium started its closing up process. I
yep,
remember the day that they actually closed the last game at Silver, and
mm,
they did this whole ceremony where they pulled up home plate, and like there was
yeah.
a parade from Silver to Frontier Field
Hmm.
to deliver home plate, which I
I,
thought
I
was
do,
really cool.
I do remember that. I do remember at least seeing the news and stuff. That was. But I went to a lot of games at Silver.
Hmm.
I went to a lot of baseball games back for a while.
Yep, same here. Same here.
Did we go
I remember
together?
going with my grandfather a lot. Hmm?
Did we go together? I don't know. I don't think.
I don't think you and I ever went to Silver together, but we went to Frontier Field together a couple times. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I went to
We
I
were
went
taking a.
with Mark
You
and
know how
them.
long it's been since I've actually taken in a professional baseball game?
How long
It
has it
has to
been?
be. It's got to be at least. It's got to be at least 5 years.
Well, didn't you go to a couple? I mean, for Red, you've been to Red Wings games.
Well, I here's the thing: is I would go when we would table FC3,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really go for the game. I didn't sit in the stands and just chill and watch the game. I
Mm-hmm.
did the job,
Okay.
right? I sat at our table. I handed
Mm-hmm.
out stuff. I talked to people. We chatted with folks. I was usually hanging out with Terry from Arlene's,
Mm-hmm.
and which I always enjoyed spending time with her. We've been friends for such a long time, and then once we were done and we were packed up, I wouldn't linger. I'd just go home.
Okay. Okay.
So it's been a
Yeah.
long time since I've actually gone to the field, gotten a ticket, gotten the dog and a beer, sat in the stands, and just enjoyed watching a baseball game.
Because I've been to a few games with the kids, which doesn't
Hmm.
really is not conducive to really watching the game and just
Yeah, because
enjoying
they're
the
not
game.
watching the game either.
I think the last game that I enjoyed was probably in San Francisco.
I
I saw
remember you going there. Yeah,
I saw a game there.
I have seen. I've seen
So,
professional baseball game. Well, I've seen Major League Baseball games at Fenway and Skydome, and that's no an exhibition field where Toronto originally played.
okay.
So I've seen Toronto. I've seen 3 Toronto home games and 1 Boston game. Those are the major league games that I've seen in person.
I've been to Shea Stadium. So
Hmm.
I went with Mark with the weekend of the Mets, and they lost all the games. Poor
Or
Mark,
Mark.
but he got to see some games. Went with one of his brothers to that. So I've been to Shea Stadium, been to Toronto. I've
Did you
been
did you go with me to Skydome when my dad got tickets for my birthday?
possibly because
I remember
that's
there
where
was 2 of my friends were with me, and one of them was Brian, not our Brian, but Brian Dixon.
yeah.
It was before he and Annette moved to Kansas
I
City.
think because I saw a game there. I don't remember who yeah.
I'm pretty sure you were with me for it was a Boston Toronto game. My dad took us there for my
Mhm.
birthday.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Okay.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there, and I've been to Kansas City.
Okay.
Saw a couple games in
That's an
Kansas
interesting
City.
stadium, Kansas
Yeah,
City.
it's right next to the football stadium. And
Yeah.
I've been to San Francisco. Is that it? I thought there's one more, but I can't remember right now. But
I would love
I
to go
think there's
back to
one more.
Fenway.
I'd
I'm
like to go
looking
to Fenway.
and taking up my own mantra that I have espoused on so many different
Mm.
podcasts and Nerd World News broadcasts to go do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So while I may not do it this year, next year I'm going to Fenway. I'm gonna take in a game or two at Fenway because I
Mm-hmm.
have not been to Boston in a long time too, and I love that city so much.
I've only been on the outskirts of it. I haven't really seen Boston.
Okay, then so you and I are on a road trip. Then we're
Yeah,
going
I
we're
went to
going to
see.
Boston for a long weekend.
Yeah, I went to see a show out there a couple times, but I
Hmm.
was just outside of Boston. So.
My cousin Doug on my dad's side, the Canadian crew.
Hmm.
My cousin Doug, who also he skated for the Amerks back in the '80s, and he was on one of their Calder Cup teams. But his youngest son Spencer was a student at which one was it? It was Holy Cross.
Mhm.
and they're in just outside of Boston. So we went out to Boston a couple of years ago when Spencer was still in school to watch a couple of games,
Mhm.
and have a little family reunion with the Canadians. And then, and no, I myself am not Canadian. My aunt married a hockey player, and the rest is history. So every so often, I start talking about my Canadian cousins, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't know you were Canadian." I myself am not.
But I'd be proud of it.
I am. I would be. I would love
Yeah.
it if I were. I mean, my,
Mm.
and I'm gonna tangent in a moment, but let me finish this story first.
Mhm.
So we went out to Boston for the long weekend to see Spencer play a couple of games, have the family reunion, get a chance to see the aunt and uncle, and chill out for a little while, and that was a lot of fun. And taking Ian and Jules to Quincy Market, which is like the big kind of like outdoor mall of sorts. And
Okay.
in Boston, it's like their commercial center for the longest time. It was where Quincy Market was really marketplace in Boston back in the colonial and early days of the
Okay.
city. And then there's the Freedom Trail and there's all these things that I didn't get a chance to take the kids on, but I would love
Mm.
to take them on. So because I know they would be bored off their asses, but I could make them have fun together. It would be good.
You'll
Um,
go when you lick it.
well, the three of us actually talked about that on Easter Sunday. I said I
Mhm.
wanted to go on a road trip with the two of you. The three of us have not just gone and done anything together in such a long time.
Mhm.
I think it would be great. We could all take turns
Yeah.
driving, and now that we all have licenses and whatnot, I think it'd be a fun time. And then Ian immediately said, "Well, you and I could drive, Dad." And he looked pointedly at his sister, right? And she's like, "No faith." I'm like, "Well, rightfully so. You are the one who ran into the garage on the way out of said garage." So there's a thing there.
Yeah.
Oh God, where was I? I was going to tangent my happy ass off somewhere.
You're talking about Freedom Trail. You're talking about
Freedom
this.
Trail, and then the family. Oh, okay. I was going to talk about family dynamics, which
Mhm.
is kind of an offshoot of being an only child conversation from earlier in this conversation. Okay. So here I am. I'm an only child, and I was raised on my mother's side of the family with the Italians,
Mhm.
right? Because the Canadians are all up in freaking Canada. We didn't get a chance to see them all that much.
Right.
A thing that I really do need to fix. I do feel bad about that. I have not seen them physically as often as I could. And
Right.
and I'm going to start, and in the auspices of go do the thing, I'm
Mhm.
going to make that better. Um, so I was raised with my cousins Lisa and Kristen on my mom's side of the family. My my
Yep.
my uncle's daughters.
Yes.
My uncle being my mom's younger brother in this equation. And I never felt like I 100% fit. Like I've always been, my sense of humor has always been a little weird, sometimes a little off color, a
Really?
little garrulous. Yeah, I don't
No,
know. You never
I've never
noticed, right?
noticed that about you, Chris. Yeah.
Never noticed that.
No, never.
You know, where my mom and my uncle have always been very, prim and proper might be an extreme. Prim and proper is too extreme, but it's the
Mhm.
best I can come up with at the moment. They have always been very casual and classy. My my
Mhm.
my mom and my uncle are very classy people.
Classy is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, very successful, very classy, very easy, very easygoing, low key people.
Mhm.
Um, they're not me. I can hang in that atmosphere, but I always felt like I really didn't 100% fit there.
Mhm.
So let's rewind this story back almost. I want to say Ian was very little, so I want to say it's been 10, 11, 12 years at this point. It was the first major reunion of the Canadians and the Rochesterians in a long time. Now, the Canadian contingent, like I said, it's my dad and his younger sister,
Mhm.
Nancy. My Aunt Nancy married my Uncle Barry, the hockey player, and moved up to Canada, and the rest is history there.
Mhm.
They have 3 kids. The oldest is my cousin Christine, then Doug, then Sherry. I fall in between Doug and Sherry in age. So
Okay.
Christine's always been kind of my unofficial big sister, and I love her for it. The two of us can go almost an entire year without talking. And the moment one of us sends an email or a text message to each other, it's just like we fell right back into place with each other. We know exactly what's going on. The vibe
Mhm.
is there. I love that woman more than I can tell you, and Doug and Sherry just as much as them. So here I am, and my aunt and my uncle decided we're going to rent this lakeside house in Canandaigua,
Mhm.
this massive lakeside house, so we can just have the whole clan under one roof for the entire weekend while we're watching Spencer. No, I don't think it was Spencer playing. It was Spencer's older brother, Bear, and I do have a cousin named Bear.
Bear.
There's a
Okay.
story there. It's his middle name. He is
Mm-hmm.
Douglas Bear, Bear, as in yes, big fuzzy grizzly thing, Trap, because
Which
his
is
last name is Trap.
Bare. If it's
Yes.
B-A-R-E.
Well, his father is my cousin, is that my aforementioned cousin Douglas Blair
Mhm.
Trap,
Okay.
and but his nickname and my uncle's nickname
Trap.
was Bear Trap, right? So my cousin, being the entertaining moron that he can be sometimes, named his eldest son Douglas Bear Trap, and everybody calls him Bear. Okay, so that's a thing.
Okay.
So
Bear
here we
Trap.
are. This entire clan is in Canandaigua under this roof with a house that has an attached indoor Olympic-sized pool.
Oh my gosh.
Well, okay, maybe not Olympic-sized, but it was a
large
big
pool.
damn pool.
Yeah.
Big in-ground pool. There was a whole wing with a breezeway and everything attached to the house with
Wow.
this freaking pool. Okay, so we show up and we're just marveling at this place. This house could house 13, 14, 15 people, and we sure enough we
I think I remember you talking about this. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'd been there for maybe 10 minutes at this point, and my Aunt Nancy is telling me all about the pool, and she's telling me how my cousin Christine was so excited to see this pool that she cannonballed into it without the benefit of having changed into a swimsuit. Turtleneck sweater, long ankle-length denim jean skirt, and everything. Just everything. Christine was just so happy to see the pool, she cannonballs fully clothed. And I'm laughing because I can see this in my head. All right. And we're all laughing. And my kids are getting into swimsuits because they were aware of the pool existence, and we were told to plan for it. Okay. So Erica's shuffling the kids around to get them. And there's children already in the pool at this time. You know, Bear had a little girl, Brooklyn, who was maybe 2 or 3 at the time, who Brooklyn and Ian share the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
By the way,
Nice.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other people milling around, and my Uncle Barry's lounging on a floaty in the middle of the pool and everything like that. And I look at my Aunt Nancy and I'm like, "Have you seen Christine?" As if on cue, inspired by the telling of the story, here is my cousin Christine in said sweater, in the full length, ankle length denim skirt. She goes, "This is what it looked like," and proceeds to cannonball, fully clothed, into said pool.
So she reached for you.
She did that for my benefit. Now, I want to tell you that at this very moment, this was the moment I had an actual damn epiphany about my life. I was like, holy shit, I now understand where I came from. I understand who I am. These weirdos are my tribe.
That's right.
I love both sides of my family desperately. I love my cousins Lisa and Kristen, my uncles, my cousins on my Italian side. I love them all. But I suddenly, for the first time in my life, thoroughly understood why I was so goddamn weird. You know, why am I the guy who's going to come up with the really weird shit to say at the drop of a hat? I now understood.
There you go. Yes.
I was like, holy mother of God, these weirdos are my damn tribe. I
love it.
I went home that night the happiest I had ever been in years. I was like, because I understood. I understood something about myself that I did not understand before. You know, and it was like, I fit. This is amazing. It's like, oh my God.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
You know, that's a story, unfortunately, I could never share with my mother. My mother would probably be very upset with me if I shared that story with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I get it. You know, her and the story between her and my father, it's not a good one.
No.
Right? It does not have a happy ending, I'm sad to say. Which sucks when you're an only child, because then
No, but you have got them in the same room before, so
yes,
recently,
I'm getting good at that. I'm getting good at that.
Good. So
both of them have been very understanding that you know they're both very willing to set things aside for the greater good.
Yes.
You know, and you know, but every so often one of them will get a little itchy, and I'll have to spank them a little bit, and it gets better.
Yeah.
But holy crap, I still remember that night so fondly, and I still share it with Christine every so often. I'm like, I remember the night you cannonballed into the pool fully clothed. and that made my life.
And that wasn't the first time. That's the funniest part. That she did. That's the second time she did it.
Yes. I remember she walked into the pool area with the arms out akimbo, right? Like, here I am, look at me here. She was entertaining a crowd of thousands, and there was only like a dozen people in the room at the moment. She was just playing to the crowd, and then just stepped forward, jumped, cannonball, boom, and I'm like, oh my god.
Uh,
It's like, oh my god. Oh, that moment, that single moment, like that was life defining for me.
I don't think I've ever had a moment quite like that. I don't think so.
You got to beat the Traps someday. I hope
Yeah.
I can get a couple of them. If I can get a bunch of them into Rochester sometime,
Or we can road trip to
you gotta
Canada.
meet
Come on. Yeah.
absolutely. My Uncle Barry, my Aunt Nancy's husband, is turning 80 in August this year.
Oh wow.
So my dad is really interested in heading up there to see everybody and visit, and I would love to be able to pull that off to go visit. And
Hopefully the borders are still closed, aren't they?
the border, yeah. At this time, I am not able, unless I go through a huge amount of hurdles. I am not
it's
able
ridiculous.
to cross the border. Like Sherry and Christine have over the past couple of years moved down to Arizona, which is where my uncle has his winter place.
Okay.
Right. So my uncle and aunt they snowbird between Fort Capel, which is where they live just outside of Regina in Saskatchewan, and then they live in Phoenix when they're getting away from the cold.
Okay.
And Sherry and Chrissy have both gone down there staggered. Sherry's been down there longer than Chrissy. Sherry's husband Adam couldn't join her right away because he couldn't get the paperwork to get approved.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a while before he could actually go down there and join her. So there was a lot of time where they didn't actually see each other, which I felt bad about that.
Yeah.
But they have since had their reunion. And Chrissy's husband Eric is getting ready to sell the house in Ottawa, and he's going to join them down in Arizona soon. So it's going to be my family is condensing in one spot, but damn it, that spot's so long and far away.
Right? It's not close.
It's not close. It was easy when it was in Ottawa. I could just drive the 4 hours and go visit Chrissy for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little more than 4 hours to get to Arizona, though. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a grand tour of my family.
Yeah, that's better stories than I have. I mean, when we did vacations. So yeah, you said you went to different places in New York and stuff like that. We always went to Massachusetts. Thanksgiving always did Massachusetts. We'd be at my Uncle Dave's house, and we'd always go out to a restaurant for Thanksgiving.
Your Uncle Dave is pretty good. That's your dad's younger brother, right? Uncle Dave?
Yes.
I remember meeting him. I remember meeting him at your dad's funeral of all places, and it just struck me as just a nice class act kind of guy.
He's the uncle I know the best. There's another. There's I've met all of his brothers. He was the oldest at 8.
Okay.
But he's Uncle Dave is the one I know the best of all my uncles there, my dad's siblings. He's got 6 brothers and 1 sister, so he had one girl and all the bunch there.
Jesus, that poor girl.
But yeah, so all of our vacations. But I still don't feel like I really knew my relatives that well. A lot of them, like I had a lot of cousins. I didn't know a lot of them.
Let me, and I think you've told me this story before, and I'm pretty sure the answer is fairly simple. But your family from both sides is from Massachusetts. How the hell did you wind up in Rochester? I mean, I'm grateful
Kodak.
because and so your dad got the job from Kodak, and that was that.
Because my dad was when he was in the Army, he was into photography,
right?
And he got his degree, mechanical engineering degree from I forget which college, but yeah, he got a job at Kodak, and he wanted to work at a photography place, place that So it was his love of photography kind of that brought him to Kodak, and then so they became transplants here.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm grateful, or I would have never met you.
Out here. Yeah, it would have been a whole lot different if I grew up in Massachusetts or somewhere else. But this is so Kodak brought us out here, and then they bought the house that I grew up in just before I was born.
Oh wow!
And so that's the only house I knew.
It's the same for me. My mom and dad moved to the house that my mom still lives in. They bought it the spring before I was born, and they moved in 2.5 months before I was born. And my mom's
Sounds
still there
about
to
the
this
same as
day.
about the same as my parents'
That's
timeline.
amazing. That's amazing.
When we are um, cleaning up the house after my dad passed and everything, we
Uh-huh.
found a lot of like because because my dad kept
Oh
everything.
my God,
We
yes.
found a lot of the paperwork from when they moved in, a lot of the stuff. You got paperwork from previous owners too.
Oh wow.
Um, and considering the house is a couple hundred years old, that's
Uh-huh.
a lot. But yeah, the stuff about the putting in the septic system and plumbing, all stuff they had to get because the house had been empty when they moved in.
Uh-huh.
It had no one had lived in it for a while, so there's like stuff like plumbing, electricity, and stuff they had to have done when they moved in, and some stuff never got redone after that, like wallpaper. Um, some of the carpet. It's the same original that when they moved in. But yeah, I mean, and they had a little hand drawn map of who's going to get whose room and everything, and who's going to because it was me, my mom and dad, my sister, me, and then my uncle Sam.
Oh wow. Okay.
My uncle Sam is my dad's youngest brother,
Okay.
and he's not that much older than we are.
Okay. Which
So
happens.
yeah, and plus there's 8 kids,
Yeah.
and so he lived with my parents for a while. So I found a bunch of pictures of him, there, and I think he was in Scouts when he lived with my parents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a drawing where it shows Sam's room type in the house type of thing. So it was kind of neat going through and seeing all this stuff from back when they bought the house and they lived in it throughout the years and everything.
And how many
Yeah,
rooms did you actually claim as your own over the course of the several years that you lived in that house?
4.
I was going to say it had to be 4. It's close to
Because there
4.
was the room. There was a room across from my parents' house, which was just the smallest room, but had a big closet. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I. That's where I was. I first my first room.
Uh-huh.
Then there was a room in the back.
Right, the
It was
back of the second floor. That was where I.
kind of an add-on. It was above the carriage
Yeah.
house because yes, the back area was a carriage house.
Right.
But it's a carriage, so for back then, with the outhouse was attached. It was an attached outhouse, 2-seater. Um,
For those tandem poo.
yeah, I don't know why, but there was
There's 2 seats.
um, maybe you can switch between them. I don't know,
Oh
but
yeah, this one's cold. Oh yeah, this one's just as
yeah,
cold. What the hell?
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there was no heat in the second room. We never got the heat hooked up back there.
I remember.
There's a heat. The heater is there. My dad
Mm-hmm.
never finished. He never finished up the plugging everything together.
That's amazing.
So then I stayed down in the ironically the last year my dad was in the room downstairs,
Yep.
I was in that room for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then because I after I moved back in after we lived together, I moved back into the back room there, the carriage house room,
Right.
and I lived there for a while until I got my house.
I remember sleeping on the floor of 3 of those 4 rooms over the
Yep.
years.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I remember it was when we were getting ready for our road trip to Lancaster, Pennsylvania for the Renaissance Festival, and it was you, me, Brian, and Missy. It was before Brian and
Uh-huh.
Missy got married, and we wanted to get an early start. So the 3 of us came over to your house. Since you were the driver, the 3 of
Hmm.
us came over to your house, and we slept overnight there so we could butt crack at dawn hit the road instead of driving around town gathering everybody up. And
Where did they sleep?
they slept on. They were curled up on the couch together, and I was crashed out on the floor
Oh, yeah,
because you had that couch
yeah.
in your room.
It was not very comfortable. Yeah.
No, but we were all
But
in our 20s, so what the hell did we care?
we could do that. It didn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
So
We drove down. Did we drive down in which car did I have?
we rented a car, didn't we? Rented a van or
No, I don't think we rented a car for that trip, did we? We rented the car from when we went to DC.
okay.
Did we rent a car? I don't think did we rent a car down for Pennsylvania? Maybe we did. I really don't remember.
I could have sworn it was a bigger than average vehicle.
We might have rented it because none of us had good cars at that point.
Yeah. Because I just remember having a lot of space in the car that we took down there. So those are the details lost in time forevermore, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Possibly.
Road tripping across the universe.
Those were the days.
Yeah, we had a good time. We managed to find our
Mhm.
way to have some fun.
We did.
So, I am really appreciating how people are appreciating us. They're
I
listening
am
to
too.
this new podcast of ours, and we're getting such great feedback from the folks who are listening to it. So I really appreciate the listeners telling us what they think,
Hmm.
because that helps us figure out how we want to do things. I would love it if people start asking us questions and we could like make topics out of answering those questions. That would be
Right.
a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in another month or so, do another live and stuff like that. And
That was a good, you know what? I had my reservations about doing the live show,
hmm
but once we got into it and people were responding and we were chatting with folks, that was a lot of fun.
it
I
was.
enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the next time or two we'll do another live, and it was just kind of it was fun. It was a little different, and just sitting back, relaxing, and just having a good old time. So it's just what
Yeah,
this is about. That's what
exactitude.
it's all about.
What if really it is that's all it's all about?
That's what it should. That's what life should be about. Life should be about
Pass away
having
and you
fun.
find out it was all about the hokey pokey.
And just turn around after that, and then you're done.
And that's what it's all about. That's
That's
it.
right.
It's all over. I am so
Yeah.
pleased with how this home office of mine turned out. I'm looking around going, wow, this looks really kind of cool around me.
It
So now it's
looks
start
it looks much better now with that. I like that
yeah.
color. Those colors. Yeah.
And now I'm gonna turn around and paint the mirror image in my room, which is next door. So I'm gonna do the dark
Okay.
wall with the accent colors, and
Hmm.
you know, so it'll be the same wall just on both sides, kind of.
Nice.
Start hanging things up on the walls of my room, which I've
So,
really never done.
hmm Well, you're in there. I mean, you got them in the office, and then
Yeah,
your office is kind of public now with the Nerd World News and everything.
with
So
Nerdworld is exactly.
yes.
People were commenting on that. Ooh, we like what you did with The Office. Oh wow, yeah, cool. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
so
see
yes,
that,
yep.
can't you?
We can't afford a green screen, so we made Chris redo his office instead.
we can't afford a $20 green screen, so we had Chris spend $178 on paint and materials.
Exactly. Doesn't that make
Because
sense?
that makes perfect sense when you think about us in particular. When you put us into the equation, that makes perfect fucking sense.
We didn't want the time to take it down, put it up all the time. And in the big picture, big scheme of things, this was just made more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got little things I still want to do in here. There's like gaps where I want to put like I mentioned on Nerd World News the other day, I got space to my right here on the wall where I want to put two of those 11 by 17 prints that I got from Rob Dumo.
Hmm.
And then I got lots of room for little 3x5, like regular photograph size things. If I can put them
Yeah.
in frames and I can litter the walls with them. But I got to tell you, I put the sound baffles up. You can't see them from where you are because they're on the wall that I'm looking at.
Hmm.
But I didn't put all, let's see, there's 12 there and there's 9. So 20, I got 21 of them in front of me, these
Wow.
off gray squares.
Hmm.
And it looks really cool. And I can tell the difference in the recording now.
Okay.
I'm not hearing that echo bouncing around in my head while I'm recording. So hopefully
Yes.
that improves my quality at least.
Definitely.
Maybe not the quality of my content, but at least the quality of my voice. So,
That's the important part. As long as you sound good, that's all that
as
matters.
long as I sound good, I can just talk my ass off and make
You
no
can-
sense whatsoever, but I sound great.
Exactly.
And that's really all that's important in life, isn't it?
And we're having fun.
I really am. I am. I enjoy sitting back and chatting with my best friend. This is so much
Yeah.
fun.
I know. And I can't wait till we can do it in the same room.
I know, my God.
So I get my second shot this Sunday.
Okay. I'm getting mine on the 16th.
Yep. So you're just like about a week after I am. So
Yep.
so
So
then a couple weeks after that, we'll be fully whatever. So
fully vaccinated and fully able to socialize.
mm-hmm.
You're so getting hugged. You need to know that.
Good.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I think the whole monkey business crew is
The
vaccinated.
whole
now.
podcast too. Yeah, because Tanya and Billy are fully vaccinated now at this point.
Mhm.
So it's just the two of us that are lagging behind.
That's right.
So
We're slow. We're slow that way.
yeah, we get there. We're slow, but we make it count when we get
We're
there.
slow and steady. That's right.
So people who are listening to us meandering along, I want to hear if you have questions for us. If our little anecdotes and our stories and our observations are inspiring you to wonder something, like, hey, what's Chris and Dan, what's your opinion on this topic? Or hey, Chris and Dan, you talked about this in your lives. What happened to you for this, or how did you guys do this, or where have you
What did you
gone
guys do
anywhere?
at the Renaissance Fair? What did you guys do this? And what did you
Yeah,
tell us about your
ask us
trip?
those
Tell us
questions.
about your 21st birthday when the guys all drove down to Michigan.
Oh, I know. That's going to be next week. Then,
Oh,
or next, the next podcast, the next Dan and Chris Save the World, we're going to be talking about Dan's 21st birthday because there
oh
was so
no.
much that happened during that weekend. But also, Jason, Brian, Burke, and I had a little adventure on our way home that we had to go through. So
That was such an amazing weekend, and that was like one of
it
the
was a blast.
that was during my last term at GMI.
Yep, I remember.
Because I was my grades were telling me I was on the way out
Mm-hmm.
because I was not doing well at GMI. Why am I at GMI? That was the
Where the hell is Flint?
yeah. So yeah, we could talk about that. That's that was a good weekend. That was a really good weekend.
Smooth.
It was smooth. That was oh my gosh. And we have videotape to prove it.
Does that still exist?
It does still exist.
Oh my god! How much do I have to pay you for that to like disappear forever?
I was never disappearing.
It was not that. It was not that much. There was really nothing incriminating on that.
No,
just a bunch of numbnuts having some fun.
That was during the time of because I did, and I started recorded the some of the New Year's after that at Hubie's.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when I got the video the last time of the original 6 dudes together. I think because Rudy showed up at Hubie's place.
Yep, I have that screenshot on a mixed tile sitting on the wall of the office. So it's up.
That was quite a time. 1991.
Yep, that's when we all turned 21.
Yeah. Hey, you turned 21 that year too?
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm the middle child of the dudes.
What a weird time.
You and Brian are the baby brothers.
Or Jason.
Oh, and Jason.
The original 6, yeah. Because Rudy was in
you and Brian are the babies.
Rudy was the oldest of us.
Yep, Rudy, and then Steve, then Mark.
Mark
or did I have that backwards?
Mark and Steve.
Mark and Steve, because I know they were both a couple of days away from each other in July.
No, you're right. There's Steve and Mark.
Yeah, Steve, because Steve's July 4th.
And Mark's July 7th. Right. Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're back to back.
I was thinking June, but Mark Butcher's in June. Sorry. Okay. and
yeah, Brian, so me in September, I was the middle child.
Brian's November 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Jason is December 9th. How do I can't remember a lot of stuff, but I can remember everyone's birthdays.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a skill not many people have, thank God, at Facebook.
Yeah, because I can go on Facebook and say, so-and-so's birthday today.
Juno is giving me some very evil eye right now because I have not fed her, but she's also starting to get the idea that I'm not going to because the vet told me not to.
Oh.
Juno's not feeling so well right now. And the vet's like, well, she has to fast for 24 hours, and then you have to give her really bland food for a couple of days. I'm like, oh, Christ, she's going to hate me.
Yeah, the pets don't understand that kind of thing.
No, they don't.
I have to give my Socks, my oldest cat there, she's got a thyroid problem, hyperthyroid, whatever. So I have to try to stuck a pill down her throat twice a day.
Oh boy.
And, cats and you can't stick it anything because she knows. You can't see it. I stuck it in a treat. You can't see it. I gave her 2 treats. They look the same. She ate the one without it and ignored the one with it. I'm like, how the heck do you know that? It's a tiny little pill. It's small. It's tiny. It's really small. It's even half a pill.
Because she's a brat. That's all you need to know.
So I had to stick it down her throat instead. So that's her fault.
Yep. That's what she said. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh. Gosh. Yeah. So pets are fun. So yeah, she's somewhere around 19 or 20. I don't know how old she is.
Oh my God. Yeah, you've had her for ages.
I got her when I got just about when I moved into my first house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a couple years old then. And I moved into that house in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was probably one or probably about 2 when I got her. And so now it is 2021. So at least probably 18, 19 years old, if not more. So, but she's still getting around. So good for her.
That's all matters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my brother. I'm going to get going.
So people who are listening out there, if you like us, give us reviews. Give us a review. If you're listening to us
give us a review. let us know and drop us questions.
Yeah,
Let us
reviews,
know
questions.
what you want us to talk about. If you're going to be listening to us, I want you to be part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. We're friendly guys.
We really are.
You-
It's true.
We're sociable. Obviously, if we're doing something like this, we must be kind of sociable.
What's the line from Breakfast Club? Demented and sad, but social.
Sad, but social. I haven't seen that in so long. I gotta dig that up.
There's the classic.
It's
a classic.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's about
I'll
that
catch
time.
up with you tomorrow.
Yep.
Text
definitely.
messages aplenty.
Always.
All right.
All right.
Love you, man.
Love you too. Catch you
All right,
later.
talk to you later.